Absolutely. We're used to that.
That's expensive.
Oh.
No, it's not.
All right, call this meeting to order. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Kirschner, would you like to pray today?
Sure. Get ourselves in a prayerful mood here. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us today in making decisions for those that we represent. We thank you for another new year and another new century. We ask that you watch over all those who are protecting our freedoms and their families. We ask all this through your Son. Amen.
Roll call.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Commissioner Ferguson?
Here. I'll accept a motion to approve the digital audio-video recording of the previous board session from Tuesday, January 9th, 2020.
So moved.
Second. Yesterday.
Days.
Yes.
Tuesday.
Sorry.
It was Tuesday.
Thank you.
It was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Commissioner Ferguson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. All right. We've got a lot of business today, but we have a special guest. Jean is here, and she's going to share some good news with us, or some news.
Yeah, I am going to do that. And you got a little
Lead Jean, the clerk machine.
you got a little preview yesterday, the two of you actually. But so last August, in collaboration with Judge Shuff and Judge Kelbley, I submitted a court technology grant to the Supreme Court of Ohio. And last week I received notification that Seneca County Common Police Court has received a $202,639.05 grant. So needless to say, we are very excited for that. The purpose of the grant is to upgrade our case management program in the clerk's office. I looked back in the records. We implemented our current system in 2003. So it is 17 years old. Of course, there was a few tweaks in between now and then, but very exciting to get the grant. The grant will include computers, server, training, software. So it'll encompass the whole enchilada. I don't know if that's a good word or not, but it will encompass everything. So the technology will put us on cutting edge technology. I think it will allow us to provide the best service we can, accessibility-wise, transparency-wise, to the citizens of Seneca County. So we're very excited. So I just wanted to share that news.
Nice job, Jean. Did you bring a big check?
Well, no, not yet, but that'll be coming. But within the next year or so, that should all be implemented. That's at least the timeline that we will try to get the project completed. So I just wanted to share that news.
Nice.
Good news for Seneca County.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you very much. Thanks for your hard work.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right. Always good to follow good news. So, commissioner reports. Mike, you got anything?
No, I think that the agenda's long enough. We'll just try to get through
Want
that.
to do the reorganization first? Reorg first.
We can.
What we usually do.
Okay.
I think that's a suggestion.
I think that was a suggestion, right? Yeah. She highly recommends.
Just have it. Sorry.
I hate to.
This is me, you're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
are we ready to get started with that?
Yes.
So
First
we-
we do is President Vice.
Okay.
So I will move for 2020 that the slate of officers are Commissioner Thomas as president and Commissioner Paradiso as vice president. It takes a second, Tony.
I second.
Go ahead.
Discussion.
That's great.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike.
You bet.
That's a lot.
Can you do that?
Sure. Absolutely. Roll call.
Commissioner Ferguson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. Committees.
Board meeting dates.
We have set Thursdays through the first quarter. Do we want to extend that? I guess we can always modify it later, but
I think we're okay right now. Thursdays, 10, yeah.
Okay. That way we can get it published and on the website and everything. Okay.
if we, so that's, we publish that, and then if we decide quarterly or something.
Any
Do
additional
that later,
meetings.
yes.
When is our next off-site meeting?
I'm good.
I think it's,
Somebody asked me that the other day.
I don't know if I have it on the calendar yet. We usually do it in January, actually.
Excuse me, yeah, that's kind of what I thought, that's why I asked.
Oh, I think we missed it last January. I don't have it on the calendar yet, but
Okay.
we usually do it, it used to be in December, but we kicked it a month, so
We
we
don't-
weren't falling the same time the Township Association was falling. So-
We don't know what the rotation is, we don't know where we are next.
Oh, who, yeah. Board. You can keep talking all the time.
The other thing I talked to Stacy about is maybe getting a master calendar of everybody who does reports to us
Yeah.
and getting that out and published well in advance so that we're making sure that we cover everybody. So, you know, we have the Visitors Bureau, Dog Ward, I mean, we've got a lot of people that come in. If we could just get that all published in a advanced calendar. If it has to move, it has to move. But there are people who ask me, you know, to be here when TSEP speaks. And I'm like, I don't know when that is, but if we could move towards getting a master calendar, even 12 months out, that also allows us to space them out.
And we talked about doing, you know, a couple at the high schools and maybe a couple at the universities along the way, and, you know, that will help fill in those holes, so we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, next I have on our list for Liberty. Liberty, then Venice, Scipio,
Okay.
Hopewell.
All right.
That's where we are, unless we need to switch things up a bit, but looks like January, April, July, and October. And we tend to do them.
We have not had the best attendance at most of the township meetings, and I don't know whether that's the best place to do it, to maybe do it in a, you know, in a university setting or a bigger hall setting to have specific agenda items that might draw a bigger crowd. I know we might want to discuss that as the year goes on. I mean, sometimes we have, you know, 50 people, and sometimes we have 3.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Okay. Yep, we'll work on that.
The only thing I have on board appointments is I know that we have a new entry into the assisting the entrepreneurship
Yeah.
thing, and I know you're gonna take that, which is wonderful. But with that, the only change I have to that then is maybe I can take the investment committee,
Sure.
and then you can do that one. But other
Okay.
than that, I think what we have lined up is pretty good.
You're
And
taking Fair Board.
I'll take Fair Board, yeah.
Do we need to notify Great Lakes? When's their next?
I did,
Oh, okay.
I did.
Okay. You want me to go through?
And I did by accident. She called me about a meeting and I said.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mike, you have, all three of you are on the CIC, the District Health Advisory Board, the OSS Solid Waste District. Mike, you have Records Commission, Regional Planning, TSEP, the Exec Committee. Are you on Exec Committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
For regional planning?
No,
Yeah.
TSEP.
I have you down as
Well-
Regional Planning Exec Committee, is that right?
No,
You want us to
I've
change it?
been on exec.
Okay, you want to stay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You were there for exact.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then Mike, the Andy Cog. That was
Yes.
a switch, okay. The Revolving Loan Fund, Land Bank, Museum Advisory Committee, Fair Board. Tony, we got you down.
And investment committee now.
Oh, yeah, that does. Tony, we have the CIC, Community Improvement Corporation, District Health Advisory Board, OSS, Children and Family First, Regional Planning, Health Insurance Advisory, Fostoria Economic Development, Issue 1, LEPC, OSU Extension, Land Bank, and the IT Advisory Board. Anything I missed?
I think the only other thing for Tony is that you designate him as the representative for the opiate task force.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me of that, so.
first Friday of the month.
And then Shane, I have you down as Seneca County Coordinated Transportation. Is that the committee? Okay. WSOS, Community Improvement Corporation, District Health Advisory Board, Law Library Resources Board, which Jimmy's not on. Jimmy's on that. OSS, Regional Planning, Regional Planning Executive Committee, Erie Basin, Community Corrections, Board of Revisions, and Downtown Development.
GLCAP.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it says WSOS. Let me change that.
Did you mention the COG?
Yeah, that's under Mike's.
You switched?
You want?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. I just. I didn't read it.
Any others we're missing? They sound good.
Okay.
I like it.
Need action,
So
or do we just?
Yeah, let's accept a motion to accept.
I'll move the committee assignments.
Second,
Roll call?
Commissioner Paradiso?
yes.
Commissioner Cusher?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
I think that's all the reorganization.
We are reorganized. Congratulations.
Everyone is impressed. Audrey, did you want to talk a little bit about some of the things you have coming up in the committees, just so that we're all clear on that?
Sure, yeah. So we had the first committee meeting of the Entrepreneurship Committee that will be kind of our overall guiding group that you know helps give me direction in the different initiatives and areas that we're going to focus on for entrepreneurship. And Jimmy was able to attend that on Monday. I thought it went really well. It was a great meeting. We got a really great group there for that, so that was great. And if he's gonna continue to attend, that's fine with us. If you'd rather that be one of you, that's fine too. That doesn't matter. We just want the county perspective represented there. Either way. Then coming up on Friday is the first meeting of this specific program that we're trying to start for entrepreneurship. That this will be the steering committee for. This will basically be a subcommittee of our overall entrepreneurship committee that met Monday. I know it's a little confusing, so trying to clarify as best I can. So the committee that meets on Friday should only meet over the next year as it launches. It is just the steering committee that will hopefully get the program launched. And then once that is launched, then that committee won't exist anymore. But it is a subcommittee of our Entrepreneurship Development Committee of the EDC right now. And so that is gonna be you, Shane, on that committee? Okay,
Friday,
great.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, those are the updates on the entrepreneurship. If I can help clarify that anymore, please let me know. On Friday, I think I mentioned to you, we will be deciding at that meeting when the best meeting times are going to be for all who are present. There's 9 members, I believe. And so you'll be able to help set the schedule for that. And if I can clarify on the content of either of those, let me know. And then I mentioned to a couple of you, we are also restarting the Community Development Committee. And this is another area where we do believe that it's necessary to have a county perspective on that. We'll leave it open to you on whether it needs to be one of you commissioners or anyone from the office. We do just really want to make sure the county's perspective is present on the Community Development Committee as well. So
What does the Community Development Committee do?
yeah, so it did exist. The last meeting was in 2015, I believe. Yeah, so it did used to exist, and then was dissolved. And we'll talk more about that at the first meeting, but basically they'll help to identify projects and funding sources focused on the city and for community development, and then help us kind of prioritize that. And generally overall just being aware of what community development priorities are on that, and we'll talk more about the specific goals and kind of how that's going to work, but basically it's prioritizing funding and projects for on an ongoing basis, not necessarily for one application.
Who would sit on that board?
We're currently putting together that list.
Okay.
Charlene is gonna be invited as well. But again, just wanted to make sure we have, county perspective on that as well.
Sure.
There will be several city representatives. I'm trying to think, I don't have the list in front of me. But kind of, a good slice of all the players necessary on that. Some nonprofit executives, United Way, the Community Foundation, those types of groups. But we are still currently putting that list together and making those invites. The first meeting of that is going to be February 5th at it's either 11:30 or noon. I'll check. And again, on that, once we get that initial first group together, then we'll let those individuals decide the day and time that works best for all of them. So again, whoever does show up to that will have some say in what works best for a continued meeting date, and that will be an ongoing committee. And we'll, again, at that first meeting, we'll talk more about how it used to exist and kind of, the reason why it dissolved and then, why we're bringing it back and what we hope to do with it. So.
Got it.
Yep.
All right. We should keep note on the Chamber of Commerce and the TID are both ones that we've received Attorney General opinions on that we shouldn't sit on. And just if the Attorney General would modify those, we should just make sure that we're in touch with those.
Okay.
Keep those in front of us.
Usually.
Those would be important ones that we, and I think we did get some modification on the TID, didn't we?
You did, I believe so, but then you guys just left me as your representative on there.
It's just two that, for future commissioners,
Mhm.
they might want to look at that, see if they're
Okay.
the Attorney
I
General.
usually get notification when those meetings are. I think you might get the chamber. If not, we'll make sure we
In
get it.
both of those, we can go as a liaison, we just can't officially serve as a capacity.
We'll make sure they're on the calendar.
Yeah. All right, I've just got a couple things. We are going to send a couple letters of support, 3 actually, for capital projects. We've got the ADA entrance at the Health Department. We've got the Inclusive Park at the Opportunity Center, and we have a joint educational initiative that TSEP has requested us. So if you guys are okay with signing those letters, we'll send those out in support of capital budget requests. Make sure that's in the public record.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I feel real good that we're on that, that these things are getting submitted well above the time for the planning. Most times in the past, we've kind of come lately, so we are being more aggressive with these, and that's a good thing. I think we've got a much better chance, we're much better prepared, so we know how the game's played, and we're playing it according to the rules, so it's
Yeah,
a good
I
thing.
think we should commend the Ditto Group too for helping us.
Yeah.
They've done a good job. The county's spending money for this third party to help us in this process. Mike's he follows up, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah,
He
he's
calls,
on it.
we have conference calls, we're tweaking things.
I'll wait to thank him till we get the check.
Yeah. That's right, the Browns have had a lot of good coaches. The wins didn't follow.
Well, that's not true.
So far,
They're all good when they hire them, Jimmy.
Maybe not all of them, but
The difference between being a prospect and a client.
yeah.
Right.
But you're right, yeah. And Charlene, thank you for all your help.
Yeah,
on staying with
absolutely.
that, yeah. And Lisa has been doing a lot of work with me, so. The good news is all the projects are very collaborative, and that's just right on message with everything we're doing, so. All right.
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more thing, so can we bring this up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right,
so
unless you wanna,
That's
yeah.
under my report, or do we?
Why don't you bring
New
that
business.
at new business, if you don't mind, first thing, new business?
Yep.
I think it's new business, I don't think we've discussed. Administrator's report?
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna try to use the screen. I know it's probably gonna look a little small. I'm not used to using it yet, but I kind of wanted to give you an update of kind of where we're at. So I pulled 10-year numbers, just showing where our revenue was at the end of each year and where our expenses fell at each year. Kind of showing you this year's general fund revenues ended at $18,058,296.55. Remembering that $377,000 of that was our advances being paid back from the different CDBG, the land bank. So that is included in that $18 million figure, or
We
expenditures.
don't have any way to pull out the advances in previous years, though, do we?
I'm working on that, because Mary Jane had the list of those advances, so I'll have to pull all those out.
Okay.
The carryover numbers that Julie had sent you guys last week were different than mine. She is now making sure the advances are not showing up. She says that now the advances are not revenue, should not be reflected in the revenue. So the numbers she had sent you, why they were different than mine, Mary Jane and I went through and got the certified numbers, and then hers were different. She said she took out the advances, so the advances.
The problem is we're not comparing apples to apples, because
Yeah.
in previous years, we included them, right?
Yeah.
So, we just need to get, and as to Mr. Thomas, to Commissioner Thomas's point, receivables have increased dramatically, so that number has to be added back in to show really what the cash position is.
Yeah. It's a fund accounting question
Yeah.
that we wrestle with consistently.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm gonna make sure
Well,
that's in the,
You know, what we have is a sources and uses statement, we don't have an income statement. So, that's, I mean, there's a big difference from the county standpoint of that. I get both of them, but we just need to make sure that we're comparing from 2017 to 2019. If there are different components to the number,
yep,
there's no comparison.
that's right.
right.
And, you know, we have big numbers that move in and out of that all the time. We had that
Exactly.
800,000 for the voting equipment, and, you know, and it just
Yeah.
skews the numbers. And, you know, our desire has always been to get down to a core revenue, what we're generating, so we
Yeah,
can track
yeah,
that.
that's right. That's
And
exactly
what is
right.
our net worth, or our net
Yeah.
available assets.
Yeah, we're talking about core earnings against core expenses, and that's really what we're concerned about here when we do budgets. But, I mean, as Shane mentioned, Tony, you know, we put $800,000 away for voting machines. I mean, we were very fiscally responsible with that. Many counties ended up having a huge bill at the end, and we actually ended up having a little positive, I think, because we put more away than we needed,
Right.
so. There are just a number of factors that stabilize that number.
Okay, and so these are the carryover numbers, so the cash to carryover we're at right now is the 857,000, that's where we're at right now. But you guys had asked before a couple times to see where have we been at in the carryover. Again, these numbers do include the advances, because that's how we always tracked them in the past. The numbers she sent you are a little different, so I'm gonna do another spreadsheet that shows the advances, that shows the difference, why they're different.
If we're gonna do that, if we're gonna go through that exercise, let's also look at the receivables and how much different they are,
Okay,
because it does make a difference.
okay.
Right.
I did pull Wolf Creek, so over the next 5 years, they'll have 5 years to pay. It'll be $312,757.30. The fiber project total was $327,352.25. Our capital projects, the balance right now is at $468,470.54. It does include the 21,000 that we received for the Fostoria building that we will be giving back to School Love Op. It is in that number. But that right now is our total. I'll just reiterate the Medicaid, we are at $885,046.71.
We haven't touched a dime of that, right?
We have not. And then our budget stabilization right now is at the 500,000.
That's good.
So, I got a couple questions. So there's a difference between cash flow and having, you know, cash on hand, and then an ongoing cash flow, and then revenue and expenses. That's an operation, in and out.
Yeah.
So if I'm reading this right, with the 857, if we added back in the 500,000 we transferred to the budget stabilization fund last year, this would be closer to, this would be $1,003,500 carry forward, right? Okay, then we add in the receivables, and I agree with you, Mike, there's 574,000. So that would take us back up close to $1.9 million rounded.
600 some.
It's 312 plus 261.
Next, we received one payment,
We
sorry.
received one.
Yeah.
One payment,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay, so basically.
Plus the 800 for the Medicaid.
Yeah, no, this is my question. Is the 800 always included in this carry forward? Or
No.
is it separate? That's what I'm saying. So to me, I'm taking that out and I'm taking the capital projects out.
Right.
And I'm basically asking you, all of us, that on an apples comparison, in 18, we had $1.7 million carried forward. This year, if we added that back, we would be at $1.9 million carried forward.
That's correct.
Because you can't count those other things.
Right.
So, from a
Well,
balance sheet
But
perspective.
that Medicaid money didn't exist before. It was revenue that the state took away from us, and they gave us a one-time lump sum.
Right,
And so instead of spending like a lot of counties did, we kept it in a carryover account. a
so
reserve
for
account.
me, and I'm
It was
just
a
trying to
one-time event, we
distinguish.
held on to it.
But, okay, so we as a county have
Yeah.
500 in the budget stabilization. We have 885
Yep.
in Medicaid that we could get to.
That's correct.
And we have 468 in a capital project fund.
Right.
So we're not counting that in the carry forward.
Yeah.
But the trend of the carry forward is, it's not as bad as we thought, but it's not like it was between 13 and 17 where it was close to 2.7. It's more like, it's closer to 2.
Right. But
But we do
understand,
have these chunks of money laying around, right?
but understand that we had a number, when the carryover was much higher, we had a number of projects, that deferred maintenance that we had not taken care of for a good length of time. And we reached in the piggy bank, if you will, and took care of a lot of those roofs and other maintenance issues that needed to be handled.
And I don't disagree, but I don't think that has anything to do with the carry forward. That was what you did with the money that you had from the carry forward. You spent it on that, right?
Well, but
It
it,
comes from somewhere.
yeah, it decreases the carry forward in future years because we actually
Okay.
use that money.
All right, I get that. So that would have started the slope
Right.
down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because we did the juvenile probate building, that was 500,000.
Yeah.
Right.
We did the
Board of Elections.
Board of Elections,
prosecution.
prosecutors.
Jail.
Board, yeah,
Yeah.
regional planning office.
Regional.
We
Those
did
were
it
all-
ourselves.
Those are all huge moves.
So,
So I've been, and I'm just making this is good, I'm just clarifying a few things, but I think as we get into HR and pay increases,
I mean, you
the
know,
next
just,
conversation, I think this leads into it.
Yep.
one example is a good example is the Board of Elections. You know, we had talked about that, previous commissioner talked about that for years. They needed a bigger space. Nobody really wanted to resolve the
Nobody dealt
problem.
with it, right?
We resolved it a couple of years ago, but it cost us money to do that. Because we had a situation where we had a retail person in that space that actually net we were making money on, as opposed to having now to house something else.
Well, we're always going to have projects, as we set up here as commissioners. I commend and acknowledge, after all this, that maybe we did more projects than normal in the past.
Yeah.
So
The
therefore.
list is shorter.
The list has gotten shorter. And so I'm just trying to get comfortable with how much cash do we have if we need it, and then what's coming in and what's going out on a regular basis. And in government, it's, you know, the money, you have to figure the money out. That's what we've been doing.
Right.
And so I'm much more comfortable today in this meeting. And I think it's good. Good job getting that report together.
We can do some of our non-general funds. Show you next week.
Okay.
Email
That would be
you.
good.
Yeah, good.
Maintenance, and I can do some of those for next
Good.
week.
Next year, we'll have shirts that are in the black as opposed to.
Maybe green.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Okay, good. Old business. We have the budget stabilization.
Yes, last meeting, I think Mike, you had suggested 125, I think in an email that you might have mentioned to me 150, so if you see the 150 on the agenda, that's,
I think 125 is right, we were gonna do it 4 times at 125 to make it
Yep.
500.
That's,
Yeah.
that was my understanding.
Yeah, I think I hit the wrong button.
so, I don't know if you want a discussion on that, if that's,
Yeah, I guess from my perspective, I'd like to see us do it every quarter, and if something changes, then we'll pull it off. But, I mean, that was our mission
Yeah.
to get, that would put us at $1 million at the end of the year. That's a bold move.
Yeah, and I have a, I won't reveal it at this point, but there is a methodology by which we could possibly have 2 million at the end of the year by using some of the investment portfolio money, but we'll talk about that later on in the year.
Yeah, and, you know, this is the kind of conversation I want to have, is that we are all on the same page with this 1.5. It's not in our budget. The commissioners, we don't submit a budget like everybody else. We just have basically the carryover money. We have to see what we have, and then we make our decisions based off how much money we have. It's not quite that simple, but basically what we're saying, this is a question. I mean, we're agreeing that we are committed, unless something comes up extraordinary, that we want to put $500,000 in there this year. So when projects come up and things come up, we'll take that in consideration, but we also have the Medicaid money laying there, and I get that, which is.
Well, at some point, Tony, we probably have to have a conversation about capital improvement budget on our own.
Yeah.
You know, to prioritize what needs to
Well,
be
that's
done.
coming once we.
Yeah, we'll be taught, well, the state has that, right, but we need to do our own internal that we're gonna fund. And
We
we've got a
start-
number of projects that we need to talk about.
We do have the project, we just don't know how much our contribution will be. Right?
No, yeah, you know, all of our buildings, our jail, everything have capital requirements. And so we started a year ago asking people, the airport, everybody who has asked us for capital money, to start putting together a long-term and short-term need in the
That's
capital
what you're
budget.
talking about.
Yeah.
So Stacy's on that, trying to, you know, we didn't know what the issues were. So now we're getting them reduced to writing.
That's good.
Yeah,
It's a scary number, you know, because.
right. And as I said too, Tony, there have been times when, you know, the recommendation was, well, we could probably get by another 5 years by patching this, or we could fix it. And virtually every time we said, let's fix it. So that's.
And to me, as a commissioner, it's nice to have that ability, you know, and as we continue to increase our fixed costs, which to me, and, you know, we're gonna talk about that, you know, raises and that kind of thing, there's less money that there's gonna be in carryover because of our income. My position is, economy's been pretty good. We've sold a lot of cars and a lot of things in this county over the last 10 years. And economic development, we're doing all we can to increase that, right? Get more people, more cars, more houses. But I think, you know, that's one line to talk about, and then a downturn is another line. Our income comes from primarily sales tax. So it's pretty obvious when we look at the revenue, it's been 16, or 17, 18, 19, have been flat. We've had some really good years these last 3 years. So for me to think in 2020, 2021, 2022, that's gonna be 19, I'm not there. So I just always, it's that back and forth. So I'm just making that statement for the record.
Yeah.
Well, the next item was the HR, and the more I thought about that, I would suggest that we change that number to 75. I talked about 150 because even if we started the process at this point, it wouldn't happen until at least June. Okay, so I know it's a 2021 number too, but for 2020 at least, I think that designating 75 for that would be sufficient.
Yeah. I agree.
We're probably, you know, we may incur some capital costs along the way if we have to renovate a space or.
Well, we have to have some conversation with some of the electeds about, you know, how how much money we might be able to reduce their budgets by if those folks don't have to contribute to our issues.
I nominate Grant to have that
Yeah,
conversation.
I will.
Yeah, I mean, we just picked the 150 because it kind of felt good. We
Well,
do have a little
we
bit
knew
of
that it would
study.
be, you know, annualized, we knew it would be at least that much, so.
Yeah, so I think we'll know a lot better
Yeah.
next year as we put the budget together, but 75 for this year
We will.
So just from an action,
makes sense.
yeah,
I like it.
action timeline, so we can give Stacy some direction here as to what we are expecting her next step to be. Can we say to have job description search committee ready by March, or is that what we're looking at?
I would say by the end of the first quarter would be a good thing, and then start to advertise sometime in the second quarter.
Yeah, or just to round it off, we could work backwards, you know. We would like to have an HR person by July 1st, and then so put together what we need to do to get there.
That's fair.
Yeah, bring it to us, right?
Is there anything else you need, Stacy, as far as clarity from us?
Probably as I start working through all of that, getting to location, getting to the things, ideas, probably
Scope.
as we go, ask you questions, but at least I have dates.
Yeah, we still have the public guardian space, right? Is
Right.
that-
Yeah, there's some area up, when we did the renovations for the prosecutor's office.
Yep.
There's still some offices up there as well, so.
Okay.
I wanna get with, Derek and look at that space, and I wanna get with the law library to see if they still had interest in that
Yep.
lower room. So there are some areas trying to stay out of the basement at the RTA building, if we can help it, and hopefully have that as storage going forward, so.
Good.
kind
Are
of-
we where we need to be on that question of storage in the basement of the RTA with Gene?
Um,
No?
I'm not sure if I remember. I remember if we've talked about this or not. Just because of some of the issues out to the old youth center building, we've got all that cleaned up, all that's taken care of, so the records are fine, all the records are clean. Doing some calculations, all of the stuff that the clerk of courts has out to the old youth center. She's reviewed it, John's reviewed it, and we think that it will fit rather well down at the old regional planning. At the RTA, it would get her documents downtown, kind of where she'd like them anyway. But then now we would only have one department left out at the youth center to try to
Yeah.
work out a strategy of what we want to do with those documents. So
And,
if that's, seems
yeah, I
okay
think
with
before
you.
we get to the long-term discussion, which is where we all want to
Right.
get to, we're decluttering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the law library is doing the same thing.
Yes.
At the TV building.
Yep.
They're going through all the books there, discarding some, right, Jimmy? Trying to decide
Yeah,
where
that's
they're
what-
gonna put them, and so
Yeah.
after everybody does that one more time, then we're probably, where we're at with, what do we do with all of what's left, right? Because I'm learning, it just doesn't nothing happens real fast.
All right, we'll move on to pay increases and, did you have anything else?
On the HR, or no?
Okay. Pay increases?
You have
Yeah,
any?
well, no, yeah, I do have something. I've thought about it a lot, and we've just discussed cash on hand, cash flow. My understanding, the last 5 years, we've had 3% increases. Okay, and I just want to be clear, so it's not like everybody gets a 3% pay increase automatically across the county. Each department head gets 3% more money in their salary column. Is that right?
Yep.
And then they can do with it what they want.
Right.
So a merit raise could go here, no raise, 1%. Okay,
Except for people who are governed by contracts.
except those governed by contracts. Okay, so I think that's, kind of goes with where I'm going with this. The CPI was over 2%. we need to get good people, we need to keep good people, we need to attract good people. So then you always struggle with, what's that cost? So I was thinking one, we've approved one.
Right.
I'm okay with two for this year. And based on the fact I feel pretty good about everything we have, but I want to be 100% clear on the record. If this trend line, if anything changes, I think we ought to let everybody know in the county that this isn't automatic every year. We are dialing it back 1%. But I hope the department heads then, can take that money and allocate it where they feel best. I'm okay with two.
I'll second, if that's a motion, I'll second it, yeah.
Good. Roll, any further discussion?
Discussion on your end?
No, that's good. No,
Okay.
that's good. Roll call on that?
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. All right, do you need any authorization on the HR, the budget stabilization? You have something down in new business, right?
Yes, I know.
We'll just have to modify that?
Yep.
Okay. Tony, you want to talk about the
Data center?
IT policy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, excuse me, the county has we have an IT committee, and one of the projects that have been ongoing and have been a priority project was to develop a data center access policy. And in the Justice Center, there's a room over there that's secured and was designed basically to house our servers. And it's not Fort Knox, but it's close to it. We have met, the committee it's well represented. Judge Kelly's on the committee, Mr. Dell's on the committee, Ms. Eckleberry, Julie Atkins, the sheriff, so it's a pretty well represented committee. We've had Jake from Buckeye, our IT person on the committee, and we are pleased that we've completed that task, and I would like to move that we accept the data center policy that's been approved by the committee, that the county adopt this. And then our next step will be to meet and kind of discuss who has access when, and that kind of thing. But this is the framework going forward, so everybody's relieved that this is done.
So by virtue of adopting the policy, will we have all county servers in that server room?
They won't all be there initially, but as
That's the plan, though?
things come up and as we replace servers and those kind of things, yes,
Okay.
that's the plan.
Yeah, 'cause I know the humidity is controlled, as you say, and everything is there as it should be. And okay, I will second the motion.
That's the plan.
Okay, okay, move in a second. Any further discussion? The other thing that we did is we increased the size of the generator, so that whole room's generator back
To allow for,
so that, if there is any kind of power interruption, that the generator would kick in, so.
it's amazing, all the cameras, it's a Justice Center. Even when you go in, there's a camera. Everything's coded, who got in when, and it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. Good. Thank you for continuing to push that boulder. It's been 18 months in the coming, so.
14 years in counting.
Nutter had a policy, but it was.
You know it. Many policies.
Wasn't popular.
There's an old saying, you don't call timeout when you have momentum, right? We're gonna just
Right.
keep going until.
All right, other new business.
have a few requests. I have a supplemental appropriation from the engineer. She's asking for an additional $75,000 in her equipment garage line. Hadn't anticipated that when she was doing the budget, so. Next is.
Who's that request from?
The engineer.
Okay.
Engineer, 75,000 in equipment. And I actually have a decrease for the health insurance fund. The fund is over appropriated, so she's doing a decrease of $30,000 in the health insurance premiums. The revenue anticipated wasn't as high as the appropriation she would have in place, so she's asking for a reduction. I got the two change, so for the supplemental appropriation into our transfers outline for the $125,000 for the budget stabilization fund. And then I have a supplemental appropriation of the $75,000 because we don't have a specific fund for human resources. We do have a contingency line in the general fund, so to get it out of our coffers and into a line, and that's where I'd like to put it until we decide what we're going to do. So it's the $75,000 into our contingency line, and then I have a fund transfer, and this is again for the budget stabilization fund from the general fund for $125,000. I have a resolution amending the board's orders of November 26th, 2019, resolution 2019-243, annual appropriation resolution for the general fund for the 2020 calendar year per court order. Judge Kelbley has ordered a 3% increase in his salary, Medicare, and PRS line. We had put his budget flat, and he has court ordered a 3% increase. I have a resolution authorizing refund to land owners within the Harry Wilhelm Tile Group, Bloom Township. There's a few listed on here. Total refund is $579.49. This came up from Soil and Water. Okay. I have a resolution authorizing Seneca County Engineer to hold an annual meeting of county and township authorities. This will be on Thursday, March 19th at 6 p.m. And that's at usually at the fairgrounds.
Is that a different time of year than it usually is?
No.
That's okay.
No,
First one,
usually
all right.
doesn't, yep. And then I have resolution designating Mark Zimmerman as the authorized agent to participate in the ODOT Cooperative Purchasing Program. Resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds for supplies for times of snow removal, emergencies, meetings held by the Seneca County Engineer. A resolution authorizing Seneca County Engineer to use the force account pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code Section 5543.19 for the year 2020 in the matter of routine maintenance of equipment, yard facilities, such emergency work as necessary. A resolution authorizing Seneca County Engineer to prepare and submit application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvement and our local transportation improvement programs to execute contracts as required for issue 1, round 35 for Seneca County. I have a resolution amending the board's orders of December 26th, 2019, supplemental appropriation for the VOCA grant. She had put it in as a supplemental appropriation, and it shouldn't have been in the system. We approved it in the system, and it should have been for her budget. So she didn't have, obviously, the money in 19 to put it in place. So we need to amend it to make it effective January 1st of 2020. And that's all I have.
All right, I'll move that we accept the new business. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? So, two changes noted in there, the 75 into the contingency and the 125 into the budget stabilization.
So just a question, at what point do we create a new fund for HR? How's that work?
I'm gonna assume it will stay under the general fund. It will just be an additional, like we have, the sheriff has his sub-account under the general fund. All the departments have auditor has, so I'm assuming they'll
Just
have
have a
sub-account underneath the general
sub-account,
fund.
another number assigned to it for the title.
Yep. I have to get with Julie and Mary Jane to see what sub-account she wants to use, but they had anticipated a different fund for HR.
Okay, yeah, so, not necessarily a different fund.
Right,
but
yeah.
A line item.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just gotta get with them and see how they wanna do that.
Okay.
Roll call.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. All right, anything else for the good of the order here? Good. All right, public comments. Ben's in the house.
Ben Nutter, Sunny Farms Landfill. Happy New Year, everyone. I always enjoyed the reorganization meetings. We're trying to, hey, you take this. Yeah, I had that last time. Remember those well?
It's a bunch of short straws.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm envious of the fact that you're figuring out what to do with carryover. There was a few years there where we were figuring out how many millions we could pull back from, and when that happens, prioritizing building maintenance and all of those things are really challenging because you have the people aspect, and so I'm glad you guys are doing that now and not me. A quick update on Sunny Farms Landfill. We started construction of our larger, taller flare, keeping in step with our agreement with the Ohio EPA. So we started that construction. That I have to look at but I think the end of February is when that will be operational. And then that is the interim to building our gas collection plant and cleaning that gas up and being, completely green. So just wanted to let you know that we're continuing to work on those things, and as we, when we get that completed, I'll take a picture of it or something and make sure you're all aware of it and understand that we needed to raise the stack and make it higher because of the amount of gases that we're producing. That disperses them better and it's in keeping with the National Ambient Air Quality Standard. So,
Will there be some periods where this flare's out of service?
well,
When there was construction?
no, because we have 2 flares now, and so this will be a third one. Eventually, we'll get rid of one of those, but we want redundancy, so we have a backup. If there's something going on with thermal couplers, which happen with flares and those kinds of things, we will.
We now have 2 working.
We have 2 working now. We're gonna have 3, and we're gonna, figure out how we. Yeah.
Did you do those dispersion modeling in-house? Is that your engineer, or they're all EPA approved?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question, and I'm not sure. I'm sure we paid for it.
Yeah.
It's done in conjunction with the Ohio EPA, and
They've been really good about notifying us, or you've been good about notifying them and asking that information back.
yeah, and we've in the system in place for notification of the public and elected officials, and I think is working really well. It's good to know that, hey, we're doing this. There may be, the opportunity for some odors here or there. It's good to know that ahead of time instead of wondering if something went wrong or those kinds of things. We also, glad you mentioned that, we hired a specific individual we used to have consultants that came in periodically to tune wells and adjust the gas field and all of those things, and that just wasn't working particularly well. So we put someone on staff that's all they do at Sunny Farms, and he has made dramatic, I wouldn't say dramatic, he's made many safeguards and improvement and precautions put in place, and it's working really well.
No, it's your guy.
Our guy, he's there every day, a very knowledgeable guy in the gas. I mean, it's amazing to me. I never would have thought, before being in the business, that landfills were as complex as they are, but they are extremely complex, and they're a moving target. It never stays the same. So you always have to be vigilant in looking after it. So.
Good. It's got to, this is off the wall question, but it's got to be easier with less snowfall, right? This seems to be a year.
Operationally, it is,
okay.
We collect any water that gets into the cell, and that has to be treated. Our wastewater is clean in terms of water that goes to a sewage treatment plant. But certainly there's a cost associated with that, and there's trucks on the road, and there's all of those things that go along with it. So the less snowfall certainly is helpful.
Yeah.
It's more helpful when the ground's frozen, though. The freezing and thawing is can present some challenges too. But I would like to be able to give to the county what we spend in stone. So
You're welcome right there.
yeah, and then we wouldn't have any
I have a
silver.
quick question. So the 600, there was $600,000
Mhm.
that you transferred to Fostoria.
Mhm.
Just curious, maybe I should ask Fostoria, what is the status of that?
That was so. As part of our agreement with the Ohio EPA, we gave a check for $600,000 to. It was given to the Community Improvement Corporation, and there was a board established, and they are going to establish how it has to.
I think they're still working on it.
There's some rules, right, that it has to improve the public health and those kinds of things, whatever grants are given, and I'm not sure. We're not part of it other than providing the
You funded
funding.
it, and
Yeah.
you're kinda out
So,
of it.
and then, they'll notify us, I guess, but I haven't seen anything come across my desk. But I think they're getting closer to getting those rules put together and who's on the board and how long it's gonna last and those kinds of things. So it's all good stuff. It's real money that will
Yeah.
go to help real projects.
When I'm over their economic development meeting now, I'll ask them.
Yeah, and actually, and I'm
It's nice
meeting
to
with
know.
Renee, ironically, too, today.
Maybe ever
Renee
give us
Smith.
a.
I can give you a call afterwards if
Yeah,
I
that'd be
can
great.
ask her. Yeah, find out where it's
Thank
at, get a status update.
Like to
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. All right. And then I'll provide that same status update to you next Thursday when we're here. We're here next Thursday, right? Yeah, okay, good.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Anything else for the good of the order? Dalton, got anything for us today?
Sure. So I didn't have anything planned, but Dalton Carr with Apex. Like I said, I've been talking with folks in quite a while, here at least. Republic project's still coming along. As many of you probably know, we had the hearings, at least the adjudicatory hearing, the formal one down in Columbus, complete in November of last year. And so we're now in the legal briefs period, which is final closing arguments from all the attorneys involved in the case. Then following that, we have a decision made by the judge in our case. That decision is passed along to the power siting board itself, who then make a decision following this. They can modify that decision that the judge makes and make any sort of other recommendations or stipulations for our certificate, I think is what it's called. So that's the plan. We're expecting certification if we get it. March, maybe. Although that's for the project itself. We have a separate application for the transmission line associated with the project, and that's under review now. So I think we have hearings set for sometime between late February and March for the transmission line. And those we'll have notices for those that we'll be sending everywhere, just like we do for the project. Not much other information to report, unless you have questions for me.
So initial ruling by March, is that what you're saying?
That's what we're thinking.
That's what we're
There's
hearing.
no timing requirement
Yeah.
for the power siting board.
Okay.
We're just using precedent for
Sure.
gauging how long it might take them.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Breidenbach, you're sitting in a different, it's kind of like church, you're frustrated.
This chair's soft.
I know you go to church, you sit in the same seat, and when somebody's in there, it just kind of
That's not good.
ruins the whole, yeah. You're okay over there, right?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
I'm
good. Good.
Bill, anything to add today?
Just Adams Township, we're just kind of reviewing our road use maintenance agreements and agreements with integrity and kind of work on that stuff as things progress, so.
Good. 1 hour exactly.
I need executive session pending litigation, quickly,
That
sorry.
is on there, I was hoping we'd do that.
I will move executive session regarding pending litigation.
All right, a second. Roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes. Okay, we're at 11 on that. I wouldn't expect any